And right now, let's get right to it with your reality check. 1 week before the first NFL Sunday of the year, Nike rolled out a preview of its 30th anniversary of the Just Do It ad. This year, its signature campaign features the face of none other than Colin Kaepernick, untouched and unfiltered, with the words, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything." The ad brings to the attention the embattled quarterback's stance against police violence and institutional racism, which began 2 seasons ago when Kaepernick started kneeling on the field during the national anthem. The last time Kaepernick suited up for the NFL for an NFL contest and took a knee was January 1st, 2017, just 2 weeks before Donald Trump became president of the United States, and 10 months before Colin Kaepernick filed a collusion case with the NFL, which is now slated to go to trial. And let's take a listen to just some of this ad.
If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what you think you can do, good. Stay that way. Because what non-believers fail to understand is that calling a dream crazy is not an insult. It's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest runner in your school or the fastest in the world. Be the fastest ever. If you're born a refugee, don't let it stop you from playing soccer for the national team at age 16. Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
That was a 30-second clip from the new Nike ad. Thought-provoking indeed. Now, this ad will run during an NFL football game, days before the first NFL football Sunday. So, from a PR perspective, this ad is sort of a finger in the eye to the NFL and its owners, because it comes the ad's announcement came just days after an arbitrator said that Colin Kaepernick indeed has enough evidence to sue the NFL for collusion. And what Colin Kaepernick is claiming in his case is that after he knelt for the flag, NFL owners all across the country colluded so that he could not work and not be a quarterback. Now, there have been some out there, some skeptics that argue that Colin Kaepernick shouldn't be a quarterback anyway because he's just not good enough. Now, to those skeptics, I have a couple of responses. Whether Colin Kaepernick is good or not enough is irrelevant, number one. And number two, to say that one of the best quarterbacks in the leagues just a couple years ago goes from being one of the best quarterbacks in the league to being not in the league at all seems to me to be a little bit unfair. Seems to me to make not a lot of sense. The truth of the matter here is that I think that there is somewhere in this league where Colin Kaepernick can be, at minimum, a second string or third string quarterback. But Colin Kaepernick is not even being given a chance to practice with some of these teams because they don't want Colin Kaepernick in their locker room, because they feel that by having him in their locker room, they will spook some sort of racial animus. That is what they believe, America. But herein lies the truth. The racial animus seems to only be coming from those who don't believe that it's okay to kneel, or it is okay to live the First Amendment in this United States of America. Whether you like Colin Kaepernick's actions or not is absolutely irrelevant. Because the truth is that his First Amendment right gives him the right to protest. Period. He could do it whenever, wherever, or however he likes, as long as it's not harming others. So yes, the president might think that he is unpatriotic, but hell, there's a lot of people in the country that think the president is unpatriotic. If people's thoughts became truth, we would have a large problem in this country. The reality is what Colin Kaepernick is doing is as American as American pie. For our entire history, Americans have used their jobs and their titles to protest. Many have protested at work. Just ask the auto workers how they became a union. Many have used their titles to protest. Talk to all of the female anchors and all of the female athletes that boycotted games because their fellow colleagues could not play. Just think about Jackie Robinson, or Muhammad Ali, or the 1968 Olympics and those three brave track stars. Over and over and over again, we've seen athletes and we've seen individuals use their jobs as a form, and use their jobs and that platform as a form to protest. This is no different. You might not like what he's protesting, but in his protest, it's uniquely American. So here we are, on the crossroads. You now have a corporation, Nike, the biggest shoe company in the world, saying, "We've got your back, Colin Kaepernick." But the people on Donald Trump's side and those who believe that Colin Kaepernick is unpatriotic responded by burning and cutting and slashing their Nike products. Country artist John Rich Instagram tweeted the following: "Our sound man just cut the Nike swoosh off his socks. Former Marine. Get ready, Nike. Multiply that by millions." So yes, these individuals have the right to protest. Couple things. Thing number one, protesting a product that you already bought really doesn't make much sense because Nike's already gotten the money. Period. Number one. Number two, it's interesting. We used to live in an era where the moral majority had their say, and it was those who weren't in the moral majority that were constantly boycotting, constantly protesting, constantly, throwing, fighting for what was right. And, boycotting corporations. I remember when we boycotted Denny's, right, because they were being racist. But now the boycotting, and usually it is the minority group that boycotts a corporation who oppresses said group. But the interesting thing now is what you're finding is white, Caucasian folks are protesting brands because they're taking stands for issues that affect larger communities than just white Caucasian folks. Which to me is a little encouraging. And here's where the encouragement goes. Because indeed it is true. Every day America becomes a more of a majority-minority country. And as become more of a majority-minority country, black and brown and multicultural folks we're going to want to live, and most Americans want to live in a more inclusive and diverse society, where you're not afraid of the police, where racial inequity is no longer an issue, where misogyny is no longer an issue, where homophobia is no longer an issue. For a very long time, there are people that thrived off of these things. Not saying all, but there is a connection. Just think about it. Those that are now boycotting were ones who once never had to boycott because things always went their way. But now they have to boycott because companies are realizing that there's strength in diversity. There's a power in a more fair and equitable system. There's power in leaning in to America's Constitution. We live in a consumer market. We live in a capitalist nation. All the people protesting Nike, majority of them believe in capitalism more than anybody else does. And what capitalism says is that standing up and fighting for racial inequity, that's a good thing. Maybe others should start believing it. That's just my take. That's just my take. But we'll see what happens as this standoff continues. And here's the good news for the NFL. Nike has given a brave NFL owner some cover to put a man back to work who did nothing that any other American wouldn't do if they felt their rights were infringed as well. So do something, NFL owners, and put this man back on the field.